This is a nice opportunity. We're very respectful in the university of everyone's personal preference in terms of their spiritual beliefs. We have this moment on the camera to tell you about our spiritual beliefs. God is the most important thing in our life. Had Delayna and I not gone into music, we would have gone into ministry, and hopefully we would have met down that road. So it was a question of musician or minister, or in my case, magician was in there also. But music is our ministry. We've grown up in the church. You probably sang much more in church because I can't sing very good.
Well, we were members of a small church, and there weren't a whole lot of people that did music. We always had our choir, but what I find that is always a problem is finding organists.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm sure many of you churches go through the same things. And we had a guest artist in one of our classes the other day who, his father was a minister, and he didn't have a choice. Mom said, we don't have an organist.
You will learn.
At 18, he was asked to, or he was told, to learn the piano so that he could then switch to the organ, and he was the church organist. He came into our class, and he had never seen Piano Wizard before. And he saw Piano Wizard, and he was just, his mouth dropped open. He says, this is what I need. Even to this day, I imagine, what is Stevie, maybe not even 30.
Maybe 28, maybe.
And so he now, even at that age, after taking these lessons, and he is a fine musician, you will see in the videos. But he really wanted it now.
Oh, yes, and Stevie, you know, he's one of those church musicians, gospel musicians. We were all crying, and he played Amazing Grace. I love Amazing Grace. And so the church music experience, do you remember in the lesson we had with little Carol playing the organ?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, we're always in church. Well, we don't have an organist, we don't have a pianist, we don't have a choir director, and then it's great in the summers. The choir diminishes so much, they round up new people, and the name of the summer choir is Summer Singers, Summer Not.
But it's not a matter of whether we can all do it well. It's just so that we can get a grasp on it. And when I see people that wish they could always play, and they sit down with Piano Wizard, and we had to, when we were working with the curriculum, we wanted to make sure that we covered every
important style
of music. Yeah, we couldn't cover every style of music, but we have a few spirituals in there, and we have our Baroque music, some classical, some church hymns.
And then holiday music, which is fantastic. Tip of the iceberg there.
Where the kids can come home and play the hymns for the family. You can gather around at Christmas time and everybody can sing. But the other thing with Piano Wizard is you can put your own things in there too. You don't have to just stick with our curriculum on that.
We've actually seen churches that have put many, many hymns, which are now, many of you are familiar with MIDI files. Wow. All MIDI files can go into Piano Wizard, and then for the youngsters or yourselves, the oldsters that are learning, this is the neat thing about Piano Wizard. You put your hymn in, and then you can look at the letter names, and you can see how it looks on the grand staff, and you can really learn to read. How long had I played? And then in high school, my minister said, oh, you can accompany the choir. And the congregation, and I couldn't sight read maybe 3 whole notes, and I learned forgiveness seriously under those circumstances in church, and now we can read. Everybody can read.
And the other thing that's going on with music right now in the church is you do have your contemporary songs that the kids are hearing on the radio, and the kids are maybe buying the CDs for those, but what's happening to the traditional hymns? We don't hear so much. Many of the churches have gone to strictly contemporary worship. And so through Piano Wizard, you can put all those hymns in there. And you can learn those traditional hymns. And then the kids, after they start to get a grasp on some improvising and things, they can take the traditional hymns and take them to the piano or to the organ and put their own heart into them, and maybe turn that to a little bit more contemporary style that connects more with them. But there's so much repertoire out there, and if we're only listening to music on Sunday mornings because we're not able to make music by ourselves, we aren't expanding our repertoire a whole lot.
You know, in the game when we do Kumbaya, I mean, this is a piece we do in church all the time. And one of the things that Piano Wizard is teaching is that fundamental harmony. That we've played a lot of contemporary music in church, and if you can understand that, you know, your basic harmony. Well, the other thing too, in church, there's always somebody, could we play it in a different key, you know? And of course you say, well, maybe you could join a different church, but you know, if you understand what we're teaching here of 1, 4, and 5, and your different keys and so forth, then the church music experience can just really blossom with Piano Wizard, you know, and Music Wizard for the children. And then beyond that, you see, for Delayna and I, when we're talking Bach and Beethoven, we're talking about the Lord. There was a great author, actually, named Jan Chiappusso. He wrote probably the best book on Bach we've ever read, Bach's World. It's out of print. He said, only because of the spiritual faith, the unshaken faith in the spiritual power of music, would the world have ever known Bach and Beethoven. We've shared with you the meanings of the tones, those old familiar do, re, mi tones. Well, you've heard us talk about it. Do is short for Dominus, God the Father. Let's just go by once. Dominus, God the Father, T or C, Sidera, the universe, La, Lactia, the Milky Way, Sol, the sun, Fa, our fate, Mi, ourselves, microcosmos, Re, Regina Tucali, another name for the moon, and Do, Dominus. Can we look just a moment? God, the universe, our galaxy, our sun, our fate, ourselves, our moon, and the Lord again. People tend to know Bach as a deeply religious man, a Lutheran man. In fact, Martin Luther said, music has the power to fortify faith and steer the will. But we don't know Beethoven so much. Beethoven is astounding. When Moses was on the mountain and God spoke to Moses through the burning bush, and he talked about, I am that I am, that meant so much to Beethoven. He hand wrote it on a piece of paper, and while Beethoven moved as many as 250 times, he took that paper with him everywhere. He put it under glass on his writing desk. When Beethoven was in the woods for the 7th Symphony, he said, Lord, you speak through every tree. When Beethoven wrote the 9th Symphony, he said, my spirit traveled into the universe to hear the voice of the divine. Now, we can't teach this in every lesson, but we have an opportunity to share it with you now. Music is a language of the soul and of the heart and of the spirit. And while we might look in our churches and not see as many people in attendance as we might wish for on that day, if we are teaching music, we are nurturing the soul, the spirit, the heart. This is what the Lord would have us do. The reference to music in the Bible, it begins in Genesis and ends in Revelation. So for Delayna and I, within this grand project of Piano Wizard and Music Wizard Academy, it's a very spiritual experience, and it's our ministry. So we'd better get to church, eh?
Well, I'm just watching this passion that you have. And he really does. He firmly believes in that. I have to take the other side too, though, that just to think back to my childhood without having music. As the kids, we would all get together. We had the Staples singers.
Yes.
And we would all get together and we would sing. And we sang all sorts of things. But if we didn't have somebody that could play something for us to accompany to,
Yes.
there would have been probably singing with the radio. And then you don't have that feeling of being able to share that gift in church, being able to give something back. And I think sometimes, in many ways, maybe that's why we're not filling up our congregations, because people, they don't know what they have to give back. When children are working with music and they discipline themselves, because when they're working with Piano Wizard, they look up at their score after they get done with maybe the first level, and they see, oh, I only got 30%. Well, gee, I can get 100. And so it's not somebody else telling them, well, you've got to do that. They find it within themselves. And they take the initiative to practice it and to go on with their studies. And I think that's great that they themselves, they don't have somebody coming down on them. I think many times we have people telling us what to do all the time, and when it comes from within, we're more apt to do it.
You know, Jesus teaches us to give. You know, give to one another. You have a gift, and how long does it take to learn things? We've had some occasions on Sundays where we're serving breakfast to students in our apartment complex, and it's a lovely communion. And just the other day we were talking about, you know, Sunday service, and well, we're doing service. We're providing the food service, and they would have us serve us, you know. And I never thought about a church service as being, we could serve. And this is what you remind me of, because to watch the kids here, to stand up so proudly and look what I have to give. Wow, we're living in a world where what can I get?
Yeah.
And this is what you're talking about with the game of, oh, I can play this, I can improve my score, I have something to give.
Yeah.
The other thing, go ahead.
Well, Piano Wizard is easy. And I know me telling you that here maybe doesn't mean anything, but you sit and you try it once yourself and you'll know. And one of my favorite passages in the Bible is, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. And I feel kind of funny using that here, but that one is one that we can pull out, because I know when people think it's too good to be true, try it. Try it once.
I love your passage. I don't have mine memorized.
Oh, okay. Well, I sang that song too.
Well, there you, no wonder you remember it. Oh, I like this. It finishes in Matthew and it starts somewhere else. Seek in every way to become childlike. Seek, 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 until you find, until the years have added to your nature that of a trusting child. Not only for its simple trust must we copy the child's spirit to have faith, but its joy in life, its ready laughter, its lack of criticism, its desire to share all with all men. I think the children are teaching us. And then, except ye become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. So I think it's time. We have faith in what we haven't yet believed, but we're going to let the children lead us to Piano Wizard. That's where it's going to happen.